What's up, guys? Today we're gonna continue with our YouTube clone programming, and today we will actually probably just do the second header of the YouTube main page, because we will include styling and displaying the different elements, and that includes some JSX and CSS. So yeah, let's do this. So what you essentially want to do is go here to the header file, and beneath the components file we have already created a header2 folder. And inside of here you essentially want to create two files, and those are gonna be with header2.jsx, which is gonna be displaying the component and also the elements. And we will also create another folder called I'm actually gonna have a capital H here because we want to be using the same naming syntax for all the files, and we also want to create a header.css file, which is going to be the styling file. We can also, if you haven't already done that, we can close these because we won't be programming in those files. And in here, I think you can type CBC or no, it's or FCE, yeah, exactly, and press tab, and this will essentially create a default layout for our component, so to speak. And we want to import the styling file that we just created, so just type import header.css. So we're gonna import that to this file, which will enable us to style the display or the elements from an individual styling file. Now we also want to have this element or component in our app, so we want also to import it in the app.js file. And you can just simply type header or import header2, and I can autocomplete this, but I will type it for you. So it's /components/header2/header2 just like that. For some reason I get an error. Header2 is declared, but its value is never used, but that's fine. And we're essentially just gonna put it below this here, header2, just like that. For some reason, I don't think this will matter actually. Let's see. Let's go to Firefox and see if this actually matters. I'm just gonna move my Firefox over here. And I can already see that it doesn't really matter because we have a header inside of this header2 text inside of this header, which we are gonna fix with styling and also building the component from scratch. So yeah, let's go back to VS Code and start coding the second header. And the second header will essentially be below the first header. And it will just be a small header with some topics, and there's a lot of type of topics that you can use, and this is also not the most efficient way to code it, but I will probably in a later video show you how to make it more efficient. So the first thing we want to do is delete this header2 text here and give this div a class name. So the class name is gonna be equal to a string, which is gonna be second header, just like that. We can also, and now we want to create different boxes that goes in the x-axis or the horizontal axis, and that's what the styling is gonna be all about. So we want to create these boxes, and it's quite simple actually. Just you may create a new div with the class name of box. And inside of this div with the class name of box, we can just create a p tag, and this is going to be all. Now, so this p tag should be different for all the different boxes, and there's a way to make this code a bit smaller. I might actually do it in this video to actually just show you. You know what? Let's do that. So go into the folder 2 file and create a new file called header, say elements. So elements .js, and essentially what we want to do is create a const which is going to be elements, for example, elements, which is equal to list, and this is going to take in some items, for example. And now every item has to have an ID so we can identify it, and this will essentially increase by 1 for every individual item. And we can also create a variable called name, for example. That's fine, and this could be all, for example. And all these items is gonna have a different names. And we essentially want to create quite a lot of elements, so we can just copy this block of code and paste it down below. So we're gonna create for now like 5 or 6 elements. This is actually 7 elements, so that's fine. So we're gonna create 5 elements, and yeah, just give them a different ID. All the ID has to be unique for all the elements, otherwise you will get a warning in your inspector. And say, for example, this could be I have some examples here. This could be Bitcoin, for example. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. This is something that YouTube backend usually fix, but I'm not gonna program my own YouTube backend because that is too advanced, even for me, at the moment. So we will just create a list of elements with different names. And this could be gaming. This could be cooking, for example. This could be fitness, and this could also be like finance or whatever. Finance. Okay, great. Now this is still red. That's fine. We actually don't need to be in app.js, so we can close that. And we also want to export this list, so we're gonna do export default, and then just elements, just like that. So when we're done that, I think that's pretty much all we need to do. You can actually go in here and import it. So just import, say, you can name this header elements from. Actually, I think we might want to destruct it as we actually. So let's do that. Call this elements. We call it lm, for example. From and this is going to be string./header elements, just like that. And instead of creating a lot of divs with boxes and stuff, we can actually just create a for loop in here. So I'm gonna do it beneath here, so we can just do. Now we probably just want to check if this is in fact is not empty, so we can do that by typing lm dot is not. Actually, we can just do lm and then we can do. You know what? Just make it simple. You can just type lm dot map, and this is gonna be item, for example. And so we're gonna just map over all the items and do that. So inside of here, we will essentially create, or we actually can just copy in this here, just like that. Gonna format it a bit. Boom, boom, boom. Nice. And we also want to give this div a key, which is gonna be item.id, because ID is essentially what we gave the key name to. You can also type this key, doesn't really matter. And inside of here, we want to have a text inside of the p tag, and you can just type brackets like this and type item.name. So when we do that, we will probably just see. Okay, we get some errors. Okay, so export lm as it was not found in head. Oh, okay, so it's because we actually want to. Sorry, guys. We actually want to. So since we get this error here, we will essentially want to not name this LM. We actually want to name this elements. And if we go here, it's elements with a non-capitals, so that should be fine. And we want to loop over this variable right here. This might work actually. Maybe it's not that, because if we go to Firefox, we actually have that imported as elements was not found in header._elements. And it's possible because we actually set this to default. Maybe we don't want to do that. So let's go back and change that. So instead of default, we just want export. And I think we want to export. Nope. Declaration or statement expected. Is it because we want to destruct it? Maybe we want to destruct it here right now. Yeah, that should work. But then we have to not destruct it here because we already destructed it in the file. This might work actually. Okay. So we actually want to destruct it for some reason. So if we go over to Firefox, we don't see anything. That's weird. Let's go to the inspector and see. We don't get any errors. If we reload the page, we don't get errors. Interesting. If we go to the HTML, we actually can see if we have a second header, but it's nothing there. So it's not exporting. I might know why actually. I think I know maybe. Yeah, I do. Okay, so let's go back to VS Code and check here. I think it's probably because we use brackets here. It's gonna be parentheses actually, because these stands for rendering HTML. So if we go back to Firefox right now, we can see that we have all the different names and with the different class names as well. So that's really good, and that's exactly what we want. So let's go back to VS Code and carry on. So now we have actually just minimized the code. We have actually improved it from my original code, and that's really good. So now we actually are pretty much done with the second header. That's quite fast actually. So what we want to do now is essentially just go and style the components, and then we can, and what we want to type is .second header, and inside of here we want to have a width of 80%. We also want to have a min height, height of 3.45 rem. We also want to have a background color of transparent. We also want to overflow X, which is going to be scroll, because we want to scroll to the right, or for you, yeah, right. And we also want to have this at the position of fixed, because it's gonna be following the screen when we scroll down. So it's gonna be fixed, just like that. We also want to position it since it's fixed, and what we have to do is essentially just type top 0 and right 0. Right 0. We also want to have a display of flex, which is gonna be able us to position all the elements in the div in a certain way, and we also want to have it to a flex direction of row. Now that's the default value. Row. That's the default value, but I like to type it out so I know what I'm doing. And we also want to have a margin of top, which is gonna be 4 rem. So if we save this, and go back to Firefox, you guys will see that we have a bar beneath, or a second header beneath the first header, and we also see that we have a scroll bar here. It's not current. You are probably not gonna be able to scroll it because these are not in the, so to speak, they doesn't extend the x-axis outside of the screen. And we also have all the different names very close to each other with no styling whatsoever. But that's fine. So let's go back to VS Code and keep styling these. So what we can do now is type .box, which is gonna be the styling for the box div, or the div with the box, the div with the class name of box. And we want to add a margin here, which is gonna be 10 pixels. Also want to have a background color here, and this is not gonna be transparent. It's gonna be an RGBA color code, which is gonna be 240 actually, 240 and 240. So this is gonna be a lot more darker white color. The width is gonna be max content, so we will essentially create a width that is gonna be able to define the max content attribute is essentially defining the width depending on what you have inside of that div. So that's really good. We also want to have a height of 100% because it's going to be the 100% of the second bar or header, second header. We also want to have a padding between inside of it, so it is not too compact. We also want to have a color of black, and this is essentially giving the text a color of black. And we also want to have a border radius of 0.5 rem, I think. Yeah. We also want to have a cursor pointer, and we also want to have a transition because this is the different box divs, or the divs with the class name of box is going to have animation to it, or to them. So it's going to be 0.2 seconds, and we want to have ease in and out. Nice. So if we say this and go back to Firefox, we will essentially see a different styling here. So as you guys can see, we have a box around it, and we also have when you hover it, the cursor will in fact be a pointer. So that's really good. And now if we go back to VS Code, we will essentially just create the animation, and then that's done. So do .box hover. And since we created the transition, the animation will be smooth. And we just want to change the background color. And in here we want RGB of 204, 224, 224, and 224. So yeah, that's really good. And we also want to have an active button, which we will essentially use on JavaScript to it and make it active. I haven't implemented that yet, but we will just define the styling for .active, or the active class name. And inside of here we want to have a background color, and this style here is not going to do anything, but at the moment. So the color is going to be RGB color of 19, 19, and 19, which is going to be a black color. And the color here for the text is going to be white. So we invert the colors. Okay, very nice. So if we go back to Firefox right now, it will have a different styling. And now, as you guys can see, we can actually hover them and the color changes. What I am actually seeing right now is that the height of the header, or the second header, is too large. So we will change that. So if we go up here, you can see that we have a min height of 3.45 rem. So if we change that to maybe 3 rem, let's see how that looks. We don't get let's do this instead. Let's go and change this to, instead of min height, just height. this will probably increase it even more. Actually decrease it even more. Interesting. Okay, let's do this then. I have another idea. Let's set this back to 3.45 rem with min height and change the height of the box instead. And this is gonna be like 2 rem or 1 rem actually. Let's try 1 rem. This will probably be too small. Yeah, that's too small. It's actually looking like this, and this is not good. So let's go back. Let's change that to 2 rem and see how that looks. Okay, so that... You know what? I'm actually gonna have it 1.5 rem, and I will center the text inside of the box. And that is pretty easy to do. So let's go and do that. So we want to have a height of 1.5 rem. And inside of here, we can actually just type display flex here. And we will also type align item center, which is gonna be center, and you justify content center. So if we go and check on Firefox right now, we guys can see that the bar is in fact getting smaller and the text is centered in the middle. So that's exactly what we want, but I still think that the height is too large. So we will change that. So let's change that to maybe 1 rem actually. Let's see if that works. Yeah, that looks actually really good. So now we have a smaller header or second header. And if we want to see how this scrolls, we can essentially just create multiple items. So how do we do that? It's actually quite easy. So let's go back to header underscore elements and just create more elements here. So we're gonna create like more finance elements. I won't change the name, but we have to change the ID, otherwise we will get a warning in the inspector, and we don't want that. This is gonna be 12, and let's see, it's probably going outside of the... we can actually add more. Let's add more. Let's see, let's add more. Let's add like 10 more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, and we have to change all the IDs here. This is gonna be a little bit time consuming. That's fine. You could also generate random IDs to this, or increment it by the item placement in the list. That is actually a really good way to handle this type of situations when you have a lot of IDs. And I think I might be able to fix that, but I'm not going to do it today because we are running out of time. Oops. Okay, so save that, go back to Firefox, and now you guys can see that we have a scrolling and a lot of items. So yeah, and you can also put this to an A tag or a link that will essentially redirect the user to a different page or something like that. So now we have this YouTube icon here, which we have a cursor or a cursor pointer. You can also search for things. We haven't really created a filter, so you won't be able to search for different topics. And we have created these these 3 icons actually, where one is adding a YouTube video and the notifications, and also the profile image, which we haven't used an image for. We actually just used a gray background. So yeah, that's how you build the second header. It's quite simple actually. So yeah, if you like this video, then great for you, and stick around because I'm gonna upload more content like this. And anyways guys, I hope you have a great night, and thank you for watching, and goodbye.